Gregory Peck in the movie 12 Upon High. He was lifted back. Communicate.
All right, let me get this type.
We're good,
Today's meeting of the Neighborhood and Affordable Housing Advisory Board is called to order on April 13th, 2021. Welcome, everyone. The agenda of today's meeting is on the wall by the entrance of chamber. Please remember to turn off your cell phones. To ensure complete record of the board's action, we ask that each individual wishing to speak clearly state your name and spell your last name for the clerk. I will ask board members to introduce themselves and identify the fields you each represent. Ms. Dickus-Harrison?
Lindsay Dickus-Harrison, and I represent real estate.
Ms. Camacho?
Gabriela Camacho, and I represent residential building contract.
Mr. Chenault?
Kevin Chenault, representing the nonprofit industry.
Carmen Santiago, representing the people.
Pete Scalia, representing the homeless.
Linda Kemp, Mortgage Banking.
And I am your board chair, Camille Hepting. I represent the employers in the city of Clearwater. So our first order of business is the approval of minutes from the March 9th meeting. Mr. Lane, do you have an update on the meeting minutes?
Yeah, staffing issues in the city clerk's office, the minutes have not yet been prepared. So we'll ask you all to approve those at the next meeting, along with the minutes from this meeting. So what you'll need, Ms. Chair, is you'll need a motion to continue this item to the next meeting.
Okay, may I have a motion to continue this item to the next meeting? A second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 3 is citizens to be heard regarding items not on the agenda. If so, please step to the podium and state your name and spell your last name for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak on a subject that is not on today's agenda. Good morning.
Good morning. Kathleen Beckman, B-E-C-K-M-A-N. Just wanted to say thank you all for being here again, serving on this most important board. I wanted to give you an update of some of the things I've been doing. So I've toured Pinellas, Hope, and Safe Harbor to get a better idea of what our homeless population is dealing with and the needs for case management. I am formulating my arguments, data, and talking points to advocate for more general funds to go for our social service agencies here, so that'll be coming up soon. Through the summer, I want to look at ways that we might be able to set concrete measurements for streamlining affordable housing permitting and maybe reducing some of the costs associated with affordable housing permitting and that processing. The other thing I wanted to share with you is that I'm sending out a letter today to every representative in the state of Florida to argue for protecting the Sadowski funds. And I have a stapled 3 resources in the back if anybody wants to pick them up. There are a couple of editorials from newspapers in our state, as well as a resource from the Sadowski Fund. It's called Sadowski Housing Coalition that has all sorts of data points if anyone's interested in making their voice known as well. So here's what I'm sending. I am proud to represent Clearwater residents as an elected member of the Clearwater City Council. I am passionate about working to provide more affordable housing options for Pinellas County residents. Right now, you and your peers are considering permanent cuts to the Sadowski Fund. Since 2008, the Florida legislature has swept $2.01 billion of affordable housing dollars, more than a third of its total revenue, for other projects and programs. That means that as of 2019, Florida has lost out on the development of 167,000 affordable housing units. Our residents are desperate to find affordable housing. I speak with them nearly every day. I've toured Pinellas, Hope, and Safe Harbor. This is where our residents sleep in tents, storage containers, or on concrete slabs because they can't find affordable housing. Many are working at full-time jobs. According to Jamie Ross, CEO of the Florida Housing Coalition, there is an estimated shortage of 54,000 affordable housing units in Pinellas County alone. People who work in Florida with its primary source of revenue connected to tourism and service jobs deserve to have a place to call home, a reasonably priced apartment or house that a worker can afford working a full-time job. Please do not pass this legislation that diverts Sadowski funds. Flooding, sea level rise, and wastewater initiatives are important, but there is no reason to use the Sadowski Trust Fund dollars for these purposes. There is nothing more pressing to residents than housing. I serve on the board of the Pinellas Continuum of Care. I just got like it. Continuum of Care. Housing first is our mantra. Permanent safe housing is critical for our children, our families, our safety, and our mental and physical health. Sadly, according to our county point-in-time data, nearly 3,000 children in Pinellas County do not have stable housing. Please, please do not divert funds from the Sadowski Fund. All monies must be devoted to affordable housing. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to give any direction. But there are resources in the back if you'd like them.
Thank you, Ms. Bevan.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak on an item that's not on the agenda? All right, seeing no one else coming forward, we'll move on to the next item. Item 4.1, presentations by applicants for community development block grant funding for public service programs, public facility improvements, and economic development programs. This is an exciting meeting for us on the board as we get to finally meet, some of us for the first time, some of the service providers that we can help fund. So I believe Mr. Lane is next. Please explain to the board where today's presentation fit into the city's grant application cycle and when we can expect the programs we're about to learn about to be available to our citizens.
Great, thank you, Chuck Lane, Assistant Director, Economic Development and Housing Department. This is an exciting meeting for us, probably the most exciting of the year. We get to hear from all of our partners, which is a really cool thing. What I'd like to do is just kind of give a little example of these folks are able to use this. Okay, so I've instructed each of them, that's actually the presentation schedule, which we may or may not follow along. We may get off track, and that's fine. But just to give you an idea of where we are in our process, this is a lengthy process we go through to create our annual action plan, and this is part of this one step in that process. So on February 17th, we opened up our application cycle. Folks began filling out applications in our neighborly software. It's an online application system. And then on March 17th, that period closed. And here we are on April 13th, and now they have the opportunity to present to you. Now, in 2 days, on the 17th, on the 15th, our technical review committee will meet, and we'll go over the applications, and we'll review the scoring of those folks. Most of the technical review committee is here today. They will use what they hear today and incorporate that into their scoring. They've been told that they can do that. So this is an important day for these folks to explain what they're doing, why their application makes sense, and how it's going to help folks in Clearwater. Okay. So from here forward, on May 11th, that will be our next NAHAB meeting. The board will be asked to approve the funding allocations, the recommended funding allocations. So what we'll do is staff will meet with the technical review committee, and from there, we will put together across the board funding allocations for all of our CDBG funding, okay, to our applicants. And then later on in July 13th at our NAHAB meeting, you may have a month off in June, we'll see. But at our July meeting, you'll be asked, that will be a public hearing where we present our annual action plan. And the bulk of the annual action plan is the funding allocations, but there's more to it as well. And then on the 15th, July 15th, City Council will be asked to approve that annual action plan. And then we submit to HUD that annual action plan by July 30th. So that's where we are. I think we're all going to sit back and enjoy the presentation. So thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. Our first presenting organization will be Gulf Coast Legal Services. Please come to the podium, state your name and spell your last name for the board reporter. You will have 3 minutes to present.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Wade, W-A-I-T, and I'm with Gulf Coast Legal Services. So we provide free civil legal aid for individuals, and our focus for this grant, well, we have 2 of them, but our focus is on preventing homelessness. So for a regular CDBG grant that we submitted, we're asking for funds to help provide housing legal aid. And a lot of the work we do there is working with landlords and working with tenants to make sure that they can avoid an eviction. If you have an eviction on your record, it makes it really hard to find other housing, if not impossible. So that's mostly what we do there. For our COVID application, it's pretty much the same thing, except for now we are working specifically with people who have been
Any questions or comments from the board?
Just a quick question. You've got two applications, one of which is for COVID relief. And my question is in regards to staffing and demand. Have you found, I know you found that there's an increased demand, but how have you met that increased demand with your staffing that you have?
So we actually had to reassign staff. We had a lot of increased need in housing, so we took some people from the financial stability side, which there's still a need there, but there's way more for housing. So we actually reassigned an attorney and a paralegal for that, and we also have a new intake paralegal that is working on the forms part of the process, because if you know to qualify for COVID relief, you have to have a lot of paperwork. So that's helped a lot to meet demand.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? I have a quick question. You made a comment that a large part of your staff speaks Spanish or is native Spanish speaker. Do you have a figure for us of how many of the people you serve are Spanish speaking, approximately?
Yeah, it's around 30% every
Okay.
year, and about 15% of those people are not speaking English
Okay.
at all, and about 10% of those are undocumented people.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next presenter is Westcare. Same thing, please come up, spell your last name for the board reporter, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Excuse me, let me just, they're having trouble here.
Good morning, everyone.
Oh, listen.
My name is Larry MacArthur, M-C-A-R-T-H-U-R. I'm the Vice President of Operations for Westcare, Gulf Coast, Florida. Our CDBG application is for our Turning Point facility. Turning Point is the only inebriate receiving homeless shelter in our county. We're the only homeless shelter that will take in individuals that are currently under the influence of drugs or alcohol. The money, the grant that we're seeking is to partially fund a case manager. So case managers at our homeless shelter are a key part of disrupting the cycle. Their job is to link individuals with services, health services, mental health, substance abuse treatment, housing, employment, hopefully try to rapid rehousing, to try to help interrupt that cycle and help get them off the street permanently. Currently, as of end of March, we've had 73 clients at Turning Point from Clearwater. That's down a little bit due to COVID. Normally, for a year, we're about 150 clients from Clearwater area, so it is slightly down this year. However, 76% of this caseworker's time currently is dedicated to Clearwater residents. So that's where her time is going. So the salary that we're requesting is a partial salary for that case management position.
Excellent.
Any questions?
Any questions or comments from the board?
Of course, I have another one. You mentioned that your client count is down this year because of COVID. Is it down because you lowered your capacity?
Correct. So it isn't because the need's down. We all know that homelessness is exploding in the county. We had to lower our normal census pre-COVID at 65. We had to lower that to 45 to be able to accommodate space. We don't have space to quarantine, so we didn't have an area to be able to set folks aside and truly quarantine. So that's proved challenging. Recently, just in the last month, we've been able to have COVID vaccines come into the facility. So every 2 weeks, we have the free health clinic coming in to vaccinate our clients as well. So that's helped. We're hoping to be able to expand our capacity soon. But yes, that was a precaution we had to take due to COVID.
Any other questions or comments from the board? I have a couple for you, and apologize if I missed it. Did you say where the shelter was located?
The shelter is in St. Pete.
In St. Pete, okay.
But law enforcement can pick up anywhere in the county and then drop them off at our facility.
Right.
So if they pick up anywhere within the county and it's in inebriated individual that's homeless, instead
They'll
of
come
going to
directly.
jail or ER, they can drop them off with us, and then we do a social detox at our program.
Okay. And then, can you let us know if the case manager that you're looking to partially fund with these funds, follow them through their exit from the shelter, or how does that work? How long does that case manager follow these
Only
individuals?
until they terminate our work, the 30-day program typically. So
Okay.
it's through that 30-day program, and then trying to do warm handoffs to all the other resources that we can link them to.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you.
Our next presenter is the Pinellas Opportunity Council. Same thing, you'll have 3 minutes. Please state your name and spell your last name for the clerk.
Good morning, my name is Kathleen Russell, Russcll, and I'm the program director. I want to thank you all for being here today and for all the support you've given to the seniors in the community throughout the years. Clearwater funding is a vital part of our total funding sources. Our mission is to serve the 60-plus throughout the county, and in particular in Clearwater, with heavy household cleaning, yard work, and minor repairs. These are seniors who can no longer do the work themselves, have no one to help them, or don't have any financial resources to assist them. Our overall goal is to help them maintain their independence, stay in their own homes forever, and to age in place. We're the only agency in the county that does this, and we've been doing it for 44 years. We're asking for $25,000 to serve 29 clients with over 500 hours of direct services. To date, in our current grant, we've served 18 clients with 335 hours of services. Due to COVID last year, we served a lot less clients, but 7% of them were still from the city of Clearwater. And of those, 60% were under 30% of AMI, which means they had made less than $1,233 a month. Currently, our wait list is 118, which is 17% of our total wait list. The services we provide are inside cleaning is like we clean windows and screens, we clean all the appliances, shampoo, clean bathrooms, ceiling fans, just like the spring cleaning. The yard work is we do mowing, edging, weed eating, and debris removal. And the minor repairs are things that wouldn't be required by a professional, so we can do drips, leaky faucets, we replace locks, we do screen repairs. Best way to describe our program is to put a face to it. We just served a 78-year-old Clearwater resident who originally came to us years ago from the housing division. She had recently lost her daughter. She had just been told that she had inoperable cancer and her house was in deplorable condition again. We spent 55 hours helping her clean, took out half a ton of debris, but her house is now livable. And we're all hoping that her grandchildren step up and help her through these difficult times. As always, I talk about my staff. Couldn't do it without them. They are incredible, committed to the elderly, and as you can imagine, no 2 days are alike in our job. So thank you very much for all you do. If you have any questions.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I've got just a couple for you, Kathleen, and thank you for everything that you do for the community. It is a much-needed service. In reviewing your application, I did notice that you received a large influx of CARES funding.
Yes.
Could you kind of explain how that impacted your services?
Well, we received $144,000 in CARES funding. We weren't able to spend it all because, as we said, we were closed for part of the year. That funding took away, we did not have any funding from the area agency during that period. They put that on hold and was going to be a carry forward, so that replaced that amount of funding. I think we spent about $126,000 of it by the end of the year. And then they took that away from us. So we don't have that CARES funding anymore. Now we're just back to the regular 3B funding and funding from other sources. The problem was, like, we were closed for a while, and then finding staff. We lost staff during the period also, so trying to restaff right now to get back up so we can keep serving more people.
And then my next question would be, once you go in and complete the services for the senior, I noticed that you try to make connections, but I guess my question is long-term recidivism on whether you see the same clients 2-3 years down the road with the same needs, or do you kind of not see them come back up?
We do see that a lot, especially with the hoarder situations and that type of thing, or the people as they get older and older just can no longer do the cleaning themselves. We do have a referral service, so we try to refer anybody who is really in bad need to case management through Gulf Coast. We refer them for Meals on Wheels, we refer them for mental health, we try to refer them to help them to get out of the situation.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I have a question, Ms. Kathleen. Thank you for what you do for the community as well. So how do your clients apply to the program?
There's various ways. They get referred from family and friends, from like the city of Clearwater calls and refers. A lot of them just call in themselves. There's also what's called the senior helpline in the community, run through the Area Agency on Aging, and a large number of our referrals come from them. And it's an all-in-one, nonstop place. You call in there, and they will put you on wait lists or refer you to wherever you need to be in the community for what your needs are.
Okay, thank you.
Is there are there restrictions on whether they have to own the housing that they're in, or if they're renter? Does that change anything for you?
No, ma'am. The only thing they have to do is be 60 years of age.
Okay. And does it make a difference if they have other family members living with them, or is it only if they live by themselves?
No, they can have other family members living with them. We generally, if we're going to go into the house, so then we wouldn't clean the other people's rooms or things like that. We only take care of the client.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Our next presenter is from Kimberly Home. You will have 3 minutes to present as well. Please state your name and spell your last name for the board clerk.
Good morning. My name is Kate Kelly, and I'm Executive Director of Kimberly Home. That's Kelly. First of all, I want to thank you for the support that the City of Clearwater has been to Kimberly Home for so many years. And I would just begin to tell you that without it, we would not be where we are today. Kimberly Home has been in existence since 1983, so 38 years of service. And back in 2000, we added a housing program to it. Before that, we were providing pregnancy testing, ultrasound, counseling, material assistance to women and children in need. Then we saw a great need for the housing itself, so we started that slowly. We started to acquire little houses around our center, and right now we have 7. Capacity right now is 14 because 2 of them are in the process of being renovated. What we're here today is to ask for help with our resident advisor, which is also AKA our house mom. And what the house mom position does is she lives on the grounds with us and is there 24/7, which is important, so important that we found out over the years when we didn't have one that someone just needs to be there night and day. As often happens, babies decide to come in the middle of the night and somebody really needs to be there for them. But it's a more important role than that. She has become, this one in particular has been excellent. She has become so much more of a mentor. We are holding classes every single morning with the girls, from 9 to 10 for those who are not working, and she's guiding them as we go. So we have a Mom University program, which gives us pre- and postnatal education, financial education, as well as life skills, cooking classes, and reading to your child, and things like that, preparing them to be moms. Without this position, they would just be left in their rooms, sitting there not being productive, or getting into situations that really would, especially in the evening and on weekends, because that person is there. We have seen a tremendous difference in people coming into the neighborhood, just hanging out, or not being there where they shouldn't be. So I strongly request that you help us again this year to keep her in that position so we can have someone there for them. Oh, and I guess you know the money, we're asking for $25,000 towards her salary. And we do provide her with utilities and the place to live, as well as a phone and internet connection.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board?
Yes, I know you have 7 houses, right?
Yes.
How many beds total do you have, though? You have.
There's 16 beds, one we use for the house mom, so 15. And right now, we're renovating one of the houses, so that one's not in use right now.
They're all occupied, aren't they?
Actually, right now, no, because of COVID, we've tried to keep them separate, especially those who are working, because they were out in the public and coming home at night. We didn't want to put the other moms and babies at risk, so there's one in each house. So we have, that would be 6 right now.
So this house mom is an existing position you already have, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're not adding, it's existing.
My question is more in regards to sustainability. And knowing that 25,000 is a large portion of that budget and that salary, is there a level that if the funding dropped below a certain level, you would not be able to keep that salaried position?
Well, last year we were able to get 14, and that was a big help. So and we've been able to maintain that. It's just with the donations being down, we have no way of knowing what this coming year is going to be like, as well as the fact that all of our events had to become virtual, and so our income has decreased in that area. But I beg her to stay, offer her all kinds of things, and then if we had to let her go, it falls on the housing director, who's there all day, and then she's on call all night, and then there's nobody at the center. So
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Thank you so much. All right, up next is the Intercultural Advocacy Institute, also known as the Hispanic Outreach Center. I don't see them here, and I know we're a little bit early, so should we just call them back later?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we're going to see Hope Villages of America next, formerly known as RCS Pinellas. And I see that you had multiple applications, so you actually have 5 minutes to present.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Melinda Perry, Chief Operating Officer with Hope Villages of America. Perry is P-E-R-R-Y. And I'm also joined by Mark Dupa, Executive Director of Grace House. So for our first application for services, we are asking for $25,000 to help fund a salary gap for one of our case managers. We currently have 2 case managers that handle all of the clients that come through Grace House. Just a little bit of information about Grace House. It was created in the 90s, and it has 80 beds for homeless families. There's about 180 beds county-wide for homeless families, excluding domestic violence beds. So we operate about half of those throughout 14 apartment units here in Clearwater. We have a great success rate because of our intensive case management that we do provide. About 90% of the families who complete the program do move on to stable housing. And then at least 90%, a lot of times more like 95% of families improve their self-sufficiency from pre-test to post-test. So we're very proud of that. One of the reasons that family homeless shelters are so important is that because if you are a family and you're experiencing homelessness, if there's no beds for homeless families, there's a potential that mom could go to a women's shelter, dad could go to a male shelter, and the kids could go to foster care. So our goal is really to keep families together, and we're able to do that through this program. What else can I tell you?
Any questions from the board? Can you just repeat the capacity that you have? I wasn't quick
We have
enough.
80 beds.
Okay.
And then as far as the expansion goes, we're looking to add 6 additional units. So that would expand our capacity by 46 beds for a total of 126 beds for homeless families. And we would be looking at doing a combination of the homeless beds and then providing an affordable option for families through the housing continuum. It's our belief that families can go from the shelter, from the street to the shelter to affordable housing and then on to either market rate or potentially home ownership. So we want to provide that step for them. And that would be about $95,000, and that would help cover the initial architectural and engineering fees.
Any questions or comments from the board at this time?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Kim.
Your expansion, is that in the same location or is that a different location?
It is. We're looking at providing a second story onto the existing units there, demolishing an old home that's used as the office, and then expanding the computer learning center and adding new office space.
The people the homeless who would come off the street and go right into the shelter, how long would they be able to stay in your facility? Is there a time limit?
There's no official time limit. We say it's about 2 to 3 months, but we do look at extenuating circumstances like COVID. A lot of families have stayed much longer than the 3 months.
If they were associated with another program that was helping the homeless and they required, let's just say they required 90 days because for the program they get into and then they are out of that program and then they have a job. So a 90-day path seems like it would be successful. Would you be willing to put them in for 90 days?
Absolutely. Yep, and our goal is not to, if we say it's 60 days, it's 60 days and then they don't have enough funds saved up for housing or, something else. We're not going to put them back on the street. The goal is to put them into stable housing.
Do you have any idea of how much the rent for your direct service is versus what you're able to serve?
I can tell you that we've had as many as 100 calls a day of people looking for shelter or help with rent assistance or anything along those lines for housing stability. So I would say the need is greatly beyond what we can provide. Right now we do have the eviction moratorium that has just been extended through June. So things are a little bit stable now, but just because there's an eviction moratorium doesn't mean the rent is forgiven.
Right.
It just means it's delayed. So, if there's no extension again after June 30th, I foresee a huge influx of homeless families.
And so are you prioritizing them by the family status versus single? Is that how you're doing it?
Yes, we only take families with children. So it could be any kind of a makeup. It could be mom with kids. It could be a grandma who has custody. I mean, whatever the family makeup is, as long as there's a minor child in the household, we'll take them.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, do you keep that family unit in one area? I mean, you say you have beds, so.
Right, so it's 14 apartment units, and most of them are 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths. So each bedroom has 2 twin beds in it. So before COVID, there would be a potential for 3 small families. So 3 two-person families could share a unit, which has its own kitchen and everything. With COVID, we've limited it to 1 family per unit, so capacity has been reduced. But yes, the families do stay together. We've had families, as large as 10 stay with us before, which is also unique to us that we can accommodate large families.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
The Intercultural Advocacy Institute, they are here.
Okay.
They were here at their scheduled time. We're a little ahead of schedule,
Yep.
so if you could call them next.
Absolutely. Intercultural Advocacy Institute, we will see you now. I'm sorry, we were a little bit ahead of schedule. So just make sure to state your name and spell your last name, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
It's Christy Padilla, Kristy Padilla.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Christy Padilla, and I am the youth coordinator for the Intercultural Advocacy Institute. The funds we're asking for in our proposal will support our Youth Leaders Partnership Program. The Youth Leader Partnership Program supports Hispanic parents and students in middle and high school. The focus of the program is to guide parents and students to achieve their academic and leadership goals in the community. In addition to providing support, our program has volunteer experiences, academic planning, and scholarship assistance to ensure the students' growth. Our program is successful because it involves the parents in their child's education and their future in a culturally sensitive and inclusive way. Family is a key part of our program because it can be the barrier or the key to success. We support our families to be the support of our future leaders. A key student who has been involved with our YLP program and these activities are here with us today. Brandon is an 11th grade Leader of the Year of our program 2019. He's a student at Osceola Fundamental High School, and he's here to share with you why our YLP program is so important for him and his family.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Grant Hernandez.
I'm a high school student in the Youth Leadership Program. The Youth Leadership Program has done many things that have both supported me and my family. They also supported me in both my school and personal life. We focus on strengthening families and supporting the students. Every 2 weeks, our families will take part in the meetings that they held. These programs will taught us many skills like how to approach researching topics with your child, or how to live a better and safer lifestyle. The Wellbeing Program also helps with parents and students with family communications and supporting the students. My family always used to be busy and didn't always know what to do when something particular happens. The Wellbeing Program has many activities that are both fun and interactive, and this brought my family closer than ever before. Over the years, I was able to gain different experiences and opportunities. When COVID became a big part of our lives, we were able to continue meetings, but only in a virtual settings, in order to guarantee our safety. We were also able to volunteer in food drives and serve families in difficult times. The Wellbeing Program continued to provide me and my family support during these difficult times. The Wellbeing Program has taught me many things, like how teamwork really is with the new friends that I've made since I started. I also was able to find and sign up for scholarships I wouldn't have been able to know if I was in the program. I want to become a robotics engineer who can create a make in the distant future. The Wellbeing Program has also helped search for other programs that can help me achieve my dream. With the scholarship I've obtained, I can continue focusing on making my dream into reality.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Yes, thank you again for sharing today, and we appreciate you coming in and sharing and telling us your story. First, I want to commend you for quickly modifying your program during COVID and switching virtually. My question is, moving forward, at this point, are you still virtual, and do you see a time or timing that you would move back to more what you were doing pre-COVID?
Yes, at this point, we continue following CDC safety guidelines. We're offering a virtual program that we still allow our interaction with the students. For example, if we're doing an activity, we will use our current food drive every Thursday to provide those families and students a box or a bag with their supplies, so they can still feel that we're connecting with them. They will go to their house and they will join Zoom. We understand that for our students, it's really complicated and challenging due to the fact that they're also doing virtual school. So we're trying to adapt with different speakers and just different activities that will engage families. From now on, we will continue to do virtual, and we are moving forward to continue following the CDC guidelines, and making sure the safety of our students and families. Our plan is a hybrid plan, which means that as we go back to normal and as we go back to in-person, we'll make sure we do groups of 10. We're offering the PPE, which was also included in our grant, and just making sure that we are bringing families to normal, but making sure that their safety and health is first.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Can you repeat again what the funding you're seeking is for? Is it for the youth leadership program?
It's for the youth leadership program. We meet twice. We meet every other week, and we reunite parents, Hispanic parents and students, making sure we provide the leadership skills for those students. But we also, with our Hispanic community, we understand that to be able to provide the services and the support to our students, we need to bring our parents together, especially when we're working with first-generation students.
Awesome. Any other questions from the board? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right. Next up is PERC, Pinellas Ex-Offender Reentry Coalition. PERC also submitted 2 applications, so they will have 5 minutes to present. Good morning.
Just go ahead and start.
Go ahead.
State your name.
So we have 2 applications, and
Mike, state your name.
I'm sorry, I'm Michael Gelazzo. I'm the Executive Director of People Empowering Restoring Communities. also known as the Pinellas Ex-Offender Reentry Coalition. A couple of years ago, we brought back a program called STARS, Success Training Retention Services, to the Resource Center at the St. Vincent de Paul campus. In starting that program up, we have enrolled in Clearwater 174 individuals in face-to-face classes. We actually did start a virtual class amidst the pandemic towards the end of last year. Of the 174 who were enrolled in the STARS face-to-face classes, we had 107 successful completions. In the STARS virtual class, we enrolled 22 and had 16 successful completions. So of all those people who completed, 96 have been placed into employment, which is a 78% rate, which we're pretty proud of. But when you look at the numbers overall, we had 196 total enrollments, and at the beginning of the program, 140 identified as homeless. So we, in terms of trying to understand what the needs are in the program and working in partnership with St. Vincent de Paul, we really have had to put a much greater focus on what we would call homelessness case management, trying to find either transitional housing, permanent supportive housing, hopefully leading to permanent housing. Unfortunately, the STARS program isn't really built for that. The idea of the STARS program is that it's a workplace readiness, get ready to work program. So the staffing that we have for that is really geared towards general case management as well as employment case management, employment development. And what we really have seen the greatest need to be is housing case management, someone dedicated to that. So our proposal in the first part of this is in partnership with St. Vincent de Paul, where we want to create a full-time position whose only focus or sole focus is homelessness and homelessness case management, finding transitional housing if necessary. We have some partnerships with that, including HEP, but looking really more towards permanent supportive or permanent housing, because the key of keeping people in jobs is that they have that permanent housing. So the first proposal that we have here is to, in partnership with St. Vincent de Paul, is to have a full-time case manager dedicated to housing. So that was the first part of our proposal. The second part of our proposal, and I'm not sure where I can show this.
Right here.
Yep.
On here. Is renovation, and it's a two-stage process on this. So what we're trying to do, not what we're trying to do, what we're doing is we've been developing partnerships for the entire resource center. As many of you know, this was the old CHIPS building, so we're really converting a homeless shelter into functional space for different programs. We moved the STARS program from HEP to the St. Vincent de Paul campus, I'd say about 15 months ago, and well, a little bit longer than that, just always kind of get messed up with the pandemic. But we actually have a number of partners that we would like to bring in the building. The first of which is St. Petersburg College. We received a donation of, I want to say it's 15 soldering machines, and we're going to create a soldering program. I spoke to them again this morning just to verify their commitment. They're fully committed to doing that. We want the people in manufacturing. That's one of the programs we've already brought in, where we're working on 3D printing training, CNC machine training, other types of training more for the 21st century. Our Second Chance Tiny Homes program, we are looking to expand that into Clearwater, and we would need a facility for that. The Pinellas County Urban League, Watson Haynes and I have had several conversations about them expanding their footprint into North-South Greenwood, the expanded CRA, and pushing for that. And last week I did have a conversation with Habitat for Humanity, who's also looking to acquire properties throughout Clearwater and having an office presence there. We also have a partnership with Fresh Force, which is the new workforce training program for Feeding Tampa Bay. Feeding Tampa Bay is already a partner with the food side of it, but we're expanding our training programs. And the Florida Dream Center, who's in Lealman, and we've talked about their expansion to there. So in this, I realize I'm running out of time. The first picture was a demolition that would have to take place. The second picture, and this was done by our architects, is we have to remove showers, we have to remove stuff. We have to do the demolition, and then we have to bring in how we would create the office space, to run the right electrical for St. Petersburg College for the soldering program. So that's what we would do with the facilities grant, is really try to finish out the build for the resource center so that we can bring in all the partners that I had mentioned.
Wow, good timing.
A little nervous, I'm not usually nervous.
If you want to take off your mask while you're in between those plexiglass boards, that's totally fine. Yeah.
Now you tell me.
I know. I didn't want to interrupt you. I knew you were on time. Any questions or comments from the board at this time?
Mike, what's your total estimate of what this is gonna cost, the
Well,
demolition and the reconstruction?
So on the construction side of it, we priced it at $125 a square foot to include demolition and the breakdown. We actually think it's gonna be a little bit more than that, but we'll have other resources for it. With our Second Chance Tiny House program, we have restarted it, so we have a little bit of a labor force that can actually mitigate some of the expenses in that.
So what's the total amount you're looking for?
I'm sorry, we're looking for $95,000 on the construction one and $22,630 on the services side. Again, we're splitting that with St. Vincent de Paul, who's going to be talking next.
So, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Kim.
Quick question, just on the public services side, the 26,630, that's a portion of that case manager salary?
It's 50%. So what we decided to do, Chris Yvonne, who will be speaking for them, we decided to split that position and split the cost of that because, you know, I can give you the numbers for stars, but the number of people that they see is significantly more as well. And again, kind of really pushing for that need.
Thank you.
Michael, what is the time frame for your for the resource center?
Well, we have a pretty ambitious time frame, but we have the crews all ready to go. So we would expect that, you know, just based on the timelines of funding, that we would try to have it going before the end of the year, if not into January, and probably have it done within a few months after that.
What's the square footage of the facility?
I'm sorry?
The square footage of the facility of the resource center?
9,000 square feet.
About 9,000 square feet. We're not having to renovate all of it. So again, and if you want, I can put up the demolition plan to show you what we're doing, but it's up to you guys.
Mike, I have one more question on the St. Pete College coming in with the welding program. They're committed to doing that?
Absolutely.
So if this went through, right, and you're on your timeline, when do you think they would actually have your first students in class?
We ambitiously would say the summer of 22, but more realistically, in my opinion, the fall of 22. Just looking at timelines of getting contractually here and the renovations done, but we're hoping for the summer of 22.
Okay, and the instructors are supplied by the college,
That's
right?
correct.
That's on them.
That's correct.
And for the tiny home program, what exactly are you trying to achieve?
I'm sorry?
For the tiny homes program, what exactly are you trying
Well,
to achieve?
we've had ongoing conversations with Chuck Lane and the staff here about building tiny homes in Clearwater. Our objectives in that building are really to do some of the pre-manufacturing, a little bit in partnership with the people in manufacturing so that we can kind of do it as a training program, but also like wall creation. There's some things we can do in the interior of that building. When you look at how it's built, it does make sense for us to be able to do some of that.
Okay. And also you're partnering with St. Pete College for that program? Okay.
And the Florida Dream Center is also an expanding partner in the tiny house program too.
I have a question, but I wanted to make sure everybody had gone first. So how much of what you're expecting to do with the funding that we may or may not be able to provide depends on other funding sources as well? And how certain are those?
The other funding sources that we have, they're certain.
Okay.
And we're fortunately, because of the nature of what we do, putting together funding or supplemental funding isn't as great a challenge as it would be, you know, if we're not fully funded. If we're not funded at all, it's going to delay the project for a period of time, I would imagine.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
Up next is St. Vincent de Paul Community Kitchen and Resource Center. Also submitted 2 applications, so you will have 5 minutes to present. Please make sure to state your name and spell your last name for the clerk.
Hello, I am Chrissy Bond, B-O-N-D. I'm the Executive Director at St. Vincent de Paul Community Kitchen and Resource Center. St. Vincent de Paul originally started as a soup kitchen about 40 years ago, and in 2018, our board decided that we would take a two-pronged approach. One, dealing with the immediate needs of our clients being food, immediate clothing, backpacks, emergency supplies. But the other side being helping address the issue of homelessness and helping them come out of homelessness. And in that process, we invited PERC to join us in our resource center to make the most of that space, to be able to give people the opportunity to become employed and to become housed. And so that's where we've been focused. We see our meal service as the opportunity to bring people in to then help them get out of this situation. And our kitchen runs extremely efficiently. We're volunteer driven. There are only 3 of us paid staff members. The rest are all volunteers. So as Michael Gelasso said, we're working in tandem to address this case management situation. As it stands now, their case manager and I try to address it as best we can, but time is limited, and we know there are other resources out there, and we are desiring to build relationships so that we can better serve our clients. Because we have many people in the STARS program who go through the 4 weeks still sleeping on the streets, and are even interviewing for jobs and taking jobs and still sleeping on the streets. And we think we can do better with that, but we need help. We need someone dedicated to that. So that's our first request of the $26,000 from the public services grant. The second request is for our facilities. So I just put this down here.
Yep, right on top of it.
Well, that's sideways.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is our reception area. And you see the window right there. This is where our clients come to get their mail. Mail service is very important, especially if you're trying to get a job. You have to have an address. So we provide mail service. They come to this window and get the service. We also operate under the Pinellas Homeless Management Information System. So we have a technician who issues their IDs and does the intake process with that. We have to place that technician into another office that's supposed to be for a nurse, but we don't have space to serve 2 clients at the same time here. So what we're looking to do is to expand this, this wall right here to make it one big wall, and then have 2 windows with a plastic divider for privacy and for, health issues, safety. So that we can meet both of those needs there, and our nurse can return to the office. She's right now in a little bay area of our receiving room because we don't have the space for that. This will allow us to be much more efficient and to store things better, because back here in that back little office we have emergency supplies, but it's very limited. So if we have the 2 windows, we can put in a big amount of cubbies and have that space and be able to work much more efficiently. The other part of our request is for our actual kitchen areas. These are the appliances we use for our commercial kitchen. We work very hard to keep them clean and take care of them, but they're 20 years old and we bought them used. And over the past 2 years, we've spent almost $5,000 in repairs. And presently, our oven is not working, and the top of our convection oven, the top half, broke last week after we just spent $773 on it a month ago, and we're waiting for new parts. So it's become very expensive and very inefficient, and we've had to adjust what we're preparing because we don't have the oven space. So it's pretty important. And this right here just shows you one of our prep tables. They're stainless steel. We work very hard to keep them clean, but as you can see, it's galvanized steel on the legs, and it's pitting and rotting, and on the bottom we have the same. So I've put coverings on it, but they are becoming weak underneath. And finally, the back doors where our clients enter. This is just the window, and you can see the big crack. Both of the windows where they enter and exit, the window is not secure. We have some gaps, which leaves us vulnerable to critters and anything else. And we keep trying to fix it. And I had a contractor look at it, and he said the 40-year-old doors need to be replaced. We can't just replace the windows. We need to replace them. So, and that total request was $88,530. And I've broken it down by different items and our priorities based on what funding we can receive. I think that's it.
Any questions or comments from the board at this time?
What would you prioritize of all of the repairs and maintenance that you have to do? What would be your, if you had to list it out, because it's limited funding, what would you say you absolutely positively have to have?
Kitchen equipment, because we have to be able to cook every day for 100 to 125 people. Second, the doors for security. And then third, the office space. Oh, and I also did put in a request for the restrooms. I had an architect come in and redo drawings and then give me a quote of the idea of how much it would cost, so I make sure I'm in the right ballpark. And our bathrooms are 40 years old and tiles falling and sinks are cracking and all that. So it would be nice to do that, but that is probably the bottom of the list.
And that's in the 88,000?
I'm sorry?
That's in the 88,000?
Yes. Yes, we weren't trying to go real big and fancy. We're trying to be very practical, but have it very nice and clean and better organized, yeah.
You said you serve between 100 and 135 people daily. Is that daily?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, the next 4 presentations are for public facility projects only. The Clearwater Martin Luther King Jr. Neighborhood Center will have 3 minutes to present. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. My name is Carmen Lundy, Lundy, Board President of the Clearwater MLK Neighborhood Center at 1201 Douglas. The center has served the North Pinellas County for like over 40 years. In these years, they provided a range of services, including job placement, training, school programs, counseling, after-school programs, at least, literacy courses, summer youth and tutoring programs. It's a valuable place where families come together to celebrate weddings, graduations, birthdays, retirement parties, repasses, where, loss of a loved one, family come together. The center, all our volunteers is volunteer driven, and all of them at some point has grew up there at the center. In 2011, the center was closed for whatever reasons, but it wasn't acceptable for the community. So you got together some concerned citizens, and they formed this coalition. And in that, over the several years, they built partnerships with different organizations, and determined to just make this a beacon of a hope for the community again. It's important to know that the center is vital to the North Greenwood neighborhood and the surrounding communities. Last year, we gave away 400 toys. The year before, 800 toys. We have food programs where we partnership with organizations like Ministerial Alliance, Feeding Tampa Bay, I Am Hope, Simply Healthcare. The city of Clearwater, we got Chief Slaughter. He comes with our police panels there. We have learning empowerment, literacy programs. We are emergency cold weather shelter for the homeless programs. We have drive-through test sites for the COVID, special needs programs. We've been blessed to obtain cubicles where we've been able to renovate the back of our building, which we can house 10 organizations. And we're hoping to partner with like Career Source, Pinellas POC, P-Tech recruiters, Simply Healthcare. We house the NAACP youth programs. We're partnering with St. Pete College to try to create some GED programs. We're partnering with Golden Generations, to programs such as young youth from the age of 16 to 23. But what is going on is the roof is stagnating us. The air conditioning system is stagnating us. The building is ready to occupy these partners, to bring them in. We've, again, have renovated our back with these cubicles where we can accommodate, but we can't, once the COVID, the pandemic lifts and these people come out of remote, they can't come to the building because we can't house them in this space. The roof leaks, that third air conditioning system doesn't work. So in order to bring these resources, so it is critical to the success and the survival of this refuge place. It's a monumental, it's a haven for this community. That the center and the future of the community sustainability with these programs is based on success of us renovating this building. We need our roof and our air conditioning fixed. We
All
need your
right,
help.
I'll ask the first question. What is the funding that you're requesting and what exactly is it for the roof?
The
and AC?
92 is to redo the roof, to refix the third air conditioning system that does not work, and to update our plumbing with our toilets.
So the roof, air conditioning, and plumbing.
Yes.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
How old is the building that you're using?
The building is not quite 40 years old. It's not old enough. I think it's 43 years.
Okay.
Yes.
And assuming everything got done, how many people would you be able to impact in a day or a week? Do you have any idea the actual number of people you'll be able to positively help?
When you're talking about bringing in 10 different organizations with the resources that they're bringing in, the social services resources, the educational, the literacy programs. I mean, you've got your mentoring programs. I mean, with 10 organizations, you got your recruiters, your St. P-Tech recruiters coming in. So it'll be a constant rotation of different numbers based on these organizations coming in and money that they're bringing in with the grants. And keep it in mind, and this is what I look at, we're mid-county. Most of the Pinellas County money that is given to different organizations, they really take it to St. Pete and Tarpon. Only thing we have mid-county that services our Clearwater, our Largo, our Dunedin, and the Safety Harbors in different areas. We got Career Source on Gulfster Bay, and we got the Pink Building. And there's not many resources that the community the residents are attainable unless they get on a bus and travel. So bringing these resources, even though they have the fundings, they're just not servicing mid-county. So bringing this center and making it a mid-county resource center, it can flourish in areas and sustainability and households and residents' lives that we can't even.
Exactly where is the building located?
1201 Douglas Avenue, right off North Greenwood.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the
Yeah, I
board?
have one question. The 10 organizations that are partnering with you, are they already committed?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
The 10 organizations that are partnering with you, are they already committed?
They're the history of the ones that I mentioned before, like with the Simply Healthcare Alliance, Feeding Tampa Bay. These are people that we're already in collaborated projects.
Okay.
Right now, we're reached out and we have suggested and we've talked to MOUs with St. Pete College, the different other programs. The cubicles are ready, but I'm not able to offer the contracts or anything because I can't bring them in the building.
Okay, thank you.
My question is regards to quickly on staffing. What type of staff does MLK have? I know you're the board president. Are you volunteer, or is it completely volunteer driven or staff driven?
It's volunteer driven. We have members and concerned citizens that's been grinding, holding it up, bringing out their pocket, out, standing with the fish dinners, whatever it's been taken to sustain this building. Everything is volunteer driven.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Our Club Childcare is going to be our next presenter.
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask the presenter to use the handout for the overhead that I'll distribute.
Okay. And you submitted 2 applications, so you'll have 5 minutes to present.
She'll zoom out for you.
There you go.
It's close enough, and you'll have a handout.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Lynn Tucker. I'm the Strategic Initiatives Director for Our Club Childcare. I'm here with Mike Smith. He's the Facilities Director. And thank you for the opportunity to present our Phase 2 of our refresh project for the community pride at Gateway and Breeden. So our club is the leading child care provider in Tampa Bay. We've been in operation for about 45 years. Can I take this off?
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks. We serve 3,500 children daily, ages 2 to 22, in Hillsborough and Pinellas County. at 50 locations. So we have 50 locations, which keeps Mike busy. So our mission is to provide accessible, affordable, quality childcare, early childhood education, and youth development programs that strengthen children, families, and communities. We deliberately choose to locate our facilities, particularly our early learning academies, in low-income communities, because that fits with our mission. Why is quality so important? It's scarce in Pinellas County, especially for low-income families who don't have transportation and they have income barriers to participate in other programs. So access to high-quality programs increases low-income children's school readiness. So when they enter kindergarten, they're ready, they're kept up to speed and they're ready to learn. They're better prepared to enter kindergarten, and the trajectory for their success in school is a lot higher. So if they attend a high-quality early childhood program, they have a better chance of graduating from high school. So over half of our centers are in at-risk zones designated by the Juvenile Welfare Board and the Pinellas County Health Department as high risk. And 2/3 of our early learning academies are in these at-risk zones, including the ones we're requesting funding. So the community pride at Gateway and Breeden fulfills an economic development, vital component for economic development and neighborhood revitalization. Gateway's in downtown NRSA, and Breeden is in the North Greenwood NRSA. And on your handout, it gives you the addresses, it gives you profiles, it tells you how many, 100% of our families at Gateway and Breeden are low income, low and moderate income, so they fill that category. So, okay, so into the project. What we did was we took all the facility needs and we sat down with Mike and the community center directors, the early learning academy directors, and we developed a list of what would best serve our children and families. And we came up with a list of needs. And we developed a project in 3 phases. We're requesting for phase 2. Phase 1, JWB has provided funding for flooring and cubbies, and that's already been completed. This is phase 2. And in phase 3, when we come back in the fall, we're going to request additional funding from JWB to complete the project with furniture, appliances, and some interior cameras. So for phase 2, we're requesting a total for both projects of $94,909 because it meets the best practices and our commitment to high quality. So Gateway's request covers $23,321 for an outdoor shed and LED lighting. The shed's old and deteriorating. We can't store anything in it, and it's important because it has the facility people are transporting materials to and from the shed. The current lighting is old and flickers. The Breeden request covers $71,588 for playground equipment for 2 playgrounds and an HVAC unit. The playground is older and we're currently wrapping it with wraps so that, you know, it's splintering and it's older. The HVAC unit's a lot older. It's 10 years and it is not functioning and we need to bring it up to speed. So I'd like you, in closing, I'd like to let you know that we have a return on our investment, and it's $854,000 to $1,000,001 based on $94,909 investment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Any questions from the board?
I would ask the same question I asked of previous. What would your priorities be? What do you, of all of it, what do you really?
Our priorities would be, the number one thing would be the Breeden playground.
Okay.
The number 2 would be the Gateway shed. because these are interrupting in our outdoor activities, which are really important to develop the motor skills and the social skills of young children. So our third priority probably would be the lighting at Gateway, and our fourth priority would be the HVAC unit at Breeden.
Any other questions from the board? Would you say that these particular items that you're trying to either renovate or replace, have they made it impossible to have a certain number of kids or children in the program, or have you been able to still have them? It's just been limited in the services?
It's limited access. So what happens is, for instance, for the playground, we have to direct we have to schedule time on a different playground. For toddlers, the equipment is sized for toddlers and for their developmental needs. So we can't really put a preschool, a toddler on a preschool playground. So what we do is we schedule other times, and then we call facilities to come in and try to do something to fix the deteriorating playground. The same's true with the outdoor shed. The staff has to take all the materials from inside, bring it out, and then it cuts into the time that they're spending with teaching kids essential skills.
Okay, so thank you. Any other questions from the board?
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next presenter is Directions for Living. You will have 3 minutes to present.
Hello, my name is Mark Canet. I'm the Director of Finance. And with me today is Chris Johnson, Director of Facilities.
Good morning.
Directions for Living has been in operation for nearly 40 years. Our focus is preventing and healing trauma in the community, specifically due to mental illness and addiction, homelessness, domestic violence, human trafficking, and child abuse or neglect. Today, our project focus is to increase exterior safety and security. Each of the proposed projects will create a more safe, secure, and accessible environment for clients, staff, and visitors. The beneficiaries of the proposed project are around 15,000 per year. That's 11,800 clients, 250 staff, and 300 visitors each year when not in COVID times. The amount being requested is $83,093. The projects being requested for funding, we would like to install automatic swing door operators for the front door entry and the back parking lot entry. This will improve accessibility and offer greater hygiene control. We would also like to install around the perimeter of the building lighting and along the walkways. Sufficient lighting will better illuminate walkways, increase visibility, and reduce accidents. Going along with the security, we would also like to add security cameras at the entrances and exits of the building. This will ensure safety of all clients, staffs, and visitors, as well as to safeguard office property. And lastly, we will be asking for tree trimming, which reduces potential dangers to client, staff, and visitors if a limb were to fall unexpectedly, and decrease structural damage in the event of strong storms or hurricanes.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Pete, you're not going to ask your priority question?
I can give you a priority. I actually think he laid it out that way.
Excellent. Any other questions at this time?
Just for clarification, this is on the Belcher Road campus?
Yes.
Okay.
And can you repeat the number of people that you're able to serve?
Around 15,000 a year. And growing with
right.
what's been going on lately with the pandemic, we're going to see a surge in homelessness and domestic violence and children that need help.
What is the percentage of people that stay on campus and the percentage that is just coming in?
I'm actually not quite sure.
That's okay.
I'm a little new to my position.
That's okay. Any other questions?
I
All right,
have
thank
one
you.
quick-
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, one quick question. Have you experienced any safety-related issues due to lack of lighting or, you mentioned the cameras?
Yeah, it's very dark, especially on the back of the building. So employees that work late, and they have to go out there. I have a facilities guy that works late, he has to walk them out because it's so dark out there. It will improve that situation. We get the lights back there. Especially with the pole lights that we want to get, it'll really be nice.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And the limbs are actually falling on cars, like not huge ones, but smaller ones, and it's just a matter of time before one of the
Yeah, we
larger
have
ones
4
fall
big
on a
light
car.
posts back there that need to be trimmed.
It will also help the community, because our building will be much brighter. Because the building next to us is actually not in use, and then there's apartments behind there. So I think with the lighting, will make the neighborhood look better and also increase visibility for crimes or homeless sleeping there, because we have a problem with that now, actually.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is the Homeless Emergency Project, also known as the Homeless Empowerment Program. You also have 3 minutes to present. Make sure you state your name and spell your last name for the clerk.
Morning. My name is Zach White. I'm the Executive Vice President with HEP. That's last name spelled W-H-I-T-E. And we are here this morning to address our proposed request for funding in terms of enhancements to our 3 different apartment complexes that are all permanent supportive housing or permanent housing. Really, the distinction between the two is involved in some programmatic and financial assistance through HUD. Those are truly support dollars, so there's really no operation dollars tied to those funds. But in summary, these 3 complexes provide 24 units for homeless individuals. We house a lot of, there's priority on serving and housing the chronic homeless, in addition to a lot of veterans. And so really the bulk of the request surrounds our need for new windows for all the units in terms of replacing aging windows with high impact hurricane grade windows that would certainly provide additional protection in the event of a storm, reduce the need for shuttering, this sort of thing, and it would also eliminate some issues that we've had historically in terms of moisture issues and frequent surface mold in some of the units due to the aging and reduced performance of the windows themselves. So this request would also include, some stucco repair surrounding the holes in the structure where we'd affix the new windows, in addition to some blinds. And that's really the bulk of it. We have we did the legwork, got some quotes. We have a projected timeline in terms of, bringing on the contractors and completing the job, that sort of thing. I can't anticipate any need for relocation, with the anticipation that ideally we'd be able to replace the windows within a day or so. And if need be, HEP would certainly address that in terms of either providing adequate comparable housing during construction, which we could certainly do, and if worse came to worse, we'd look at putting them in a hotel or some other comparable setting.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions or comments from the board?
I do, Mike. These housing units, are they some of the units that you've used to take the temporary people from STARS in the past and run them through there?
No, sir.
That's a benefit you've given to a lot of people. I don't know if that's impacted your operation.
A large portion of these units are, they mandate placement through the coordinated entry process based on the vulnerability of the chronic homeless population. So essentially, as a housing provider, and one that adheres to the COC's mandates and requirements. You know, there's a majority of the time, we don't have much leverage in terms of, or decision in terms of who is placed in these units. It's based on the Continuum's assessment of need and priority. In the event that we do have opportunities, it's with the unsubsidized permanent housing units, we typically utilize referrals from the VA or from other providers with individuals that are intact to ensure sustainability through some type of subsidy, whether that's a veteran housing voucher or Section 8 or different things. In some instances, we'll do a self-pay arrangement.
Yeah, but you guys have really taken upon yourselves in the past to find those, somehow, to find those units for the temporary housing of homeless, haven't you?
Yes, sir. And as a matter of fact, to clarify, we currently have sort of an alignment with St. Vincent de Paul, to where we'll work very closely with those STARS students. And to clarify, these predominantly are students enrolled in the STARS program. Majority of them are truly homeless, street homeless or couch surfing or in shelter. Anecdotally, it's been my experience that the bulk of these individuals are street homeless, which in one way to me is so compelling to highlight. These individuals are taking the initiative and adhering to the commitment of coming to this class every day for 30 days straight without even having a stable residence. And so the alignment between HEP and St. Vincent de Paul is to prioritize their need for housing while they're going through this program. And in addition to that, the longer term hope and anticipation and sort of advocacy is to entice these individuals post-graduation of the STARS program to enroll in HEP's longer term employment program to provide continual assistance, maintenance, support in terms of accomplishing and achieving whatever their goals may consist of, whether it's advanced certification, employment, college education, all the above. We'll do everything we can and reduce many barriers in the process. So, in short, HEP does everything we can to house as many of these individuals as we can while they're continually demonstrating their efforts to better themselves.
Absolutely. Any other questions from the board?
You said there are 3 buildings that you're looking to replace the windows in?
3 buildings. Yes.
And where are the buildings located?
1211 North Betty Lane, 1215 Betty Lane, and I want to say 1357 Park Street.
And out of all 3 buildings, are the windows about in the same condition, or are there buildings that are in more dire need?
They are roughly in the same condition, all within a fairly similar ballpark in terms of initial construction.
Zach, I have just 2 questions in regards to the application. One is just a point of clarification, because I know we got kind of sidetracked into the STARS conversation. The 3 units that you're looking for renovating, are those part of the COC individual housing, or are they VA housing, or?
So 1211, or maybe it's 1215, we call it phase 1 and phase 2, so forgive me. One of those complexes, 8 units, is solely committed to coordinated entry.
Okay.
Some of the others are essentially unmandated, if you will, because they don't involve direct HUD funding or assistance. So it's really discretionary at that point. However, a lot of those referrals are coming from the VA who still remain intact to the coordinated entry process, regardless of our commitment or mandate to that. So it's a bit of a mixed outcome in terms of who decides placement.
Okay.
And I hope that clarifies.
Yes.
If and when HEP has the opportunity and we have an eligible resident in our shelter, then it's seamless to afford them that opportunity.
And it is individuals, not families, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then my last question is in regards to funding. I notice on the application that you've requested funds of about $50,000 from another agency. Has that been committed or is that still in process?
That is still in process.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd say with that said, HEP is committed to this, and in absence of any additional support, I'm confident we'll find a way to complete the job.
My last question is, you said those 3 buildings had a total of 24 units?
Yes.
And are they all occupied currently?
With the exception of 4 or 5 vacancies that we have pending intakes now.
Okay.
It can often take several weeks between getting the referral and processing the application information and getting the placement.
And how long are the clients usually in those units for?
They're all permanent housing, so there's really no defined length of stay.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Thank you.
I appreciate everyone's time, and I just would love the opportunity to thank the historical support of this committee, City of Clearwater, and the county for everything they've done to allow HEP to grow as one of the leading, most comprehensive providers in North Pinellas County. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we're getting to the organizations that provide housing services such as home buyer education and down payment assistance. Clearwater Neighborhood Housing Services has also submitted a public facilities application, so you may come to the podium at this time. You will have 5 minutes to present. Make sure to state your name and spell your last name for the clerk. Go ahead.
I'm Issa Gully, President and CEO of Clearwater Neighborhood Housing. I was smiling because I see some people I haven't seen in a while. Okay, Clearwater Neighborhood Housing is not a new partner for the city. We have been partners with the City of Clearwater since 1979, since inception of the organization. And I'm proud to say by working together, we have made some great differences in those service communities. And if you look around North and South Greenwood, which is in the city consolidated plan as those targeted neighborhoods that have been most left behind, we share a lot of successes together. I always said the nonprofits normally don't do it by themselves. They do it through partnerships. And we are very proud. We have some applications which Mike is going to present to you. And we are working now, Chuck, on house number 256. Can you believe we built 256 houses together, and most of those in partnership with the City of Clearwater? And I won't take any more time. I just celebrated my 40.5 year there, so I'm excited. I believe in what we do, and I will always be an advocate for a continuation of the mission. And with that, Mike, if you want to present the applications.
My name is Mike Holmes. I'm the Real Estate Development Manager for the Clearwater Neighborhood Housing Services. And the 3 applications we'll be requesting from you today is one in which we partnered with the city before. We purchased a rundown bar that was a menace to the community, and we took over ownership with the assistance from the city to purchase that facility. And then when we purchased the facility, we turned it into a child care facility. That facility now needs a new roof. So therefore, we are requesting $61,485 to replace that roof on that facility. That facility provides education, health, nutrition, and other social services that contribute to the children's well-being in this area. The tenant that we use to provide these services is Lutheran Services of Florida. They are a Head Start program of Tampa, Florida. The agency is a child development and learning provider that offers a comprehensive child development program to support children who belong to families with limited income. The new roof will allow the organization to continue to provide uninterrupted services to children in the North Greenwood community. We have provided repair services on this roof since the inception, but now the roofer that came out said it's no longer a situation of repairing, they need to be replaced. So therefore, we're asking you for funds for that regard. The second application that we're requesting funds for is $37,900 for the agency's home buyers program. With these funds, the agency will provide homeownership opportunities to 72 participants through their home buyers education program, 75 participants with the one-on-one counseling program, and 25 through the foreclosure prevention program. CNHS had offered home buyers education since its inception, helping the underserved realize the American dream has been our main goal of the agencies, which also is our goal is to strengthen the community. We feel like this is the integral part of that. As Ms. Gully mentioned before, we partner with the city with a lot of things that we do, but other partners include HUD, Pinellas County, and NeighborWorks America. The third application that we're requesting funding for is the $17,000 for staff to process the down payment assistance program that provides loans to low-to-moderate income home buyers. In addition to the funding that we're requesting through the down payment assistance program, we also are requesting to participate in the housing pool. Through the housing pool, the agencies will be requesting funds for real estate acquisition, realization of existing homes, and also money for construction. As Ms. Gully mentioned before, we have used these funds to build over 250,000 houses in the city of Clearwater. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity for us to share our organization request, and now we'll answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions from the board?
I do have some questions. Thank you for all that you do. I know you're a very important organization, and you've been a great partner with the city. And I know you're great advocates of affordable housing, so I really do appreciate that. Are you doing your homebuyer education classes online right now?
Yes, we are.
You're
And
doing
we
Zoom?
Also we will hope to do more face-to-face meetings when hopefully the pandemic eases up and we can then be doing face-to-face meetings again. But now we are working with Salida's House, and we're using that organization to provide those services. But we are in the process, and in the next couple of days we will be back doing the housing counseling through the agency Clearwater Neighborhood Housing Services.
I also know that in the past you offered some rehab programs to low to moderate income borrowers in your neighborhood that you service. Are you still doing those rehab? Because I know that was vital at one point.
Well, due to funding resources, Pinellas County, they basically pulled back their program to do those in-house and also the city of Clearwater. But we would entertain any offers that any of the municipalities would have, and Ms. Gully can answer that as well.
Thanks for asking that question. We started out with the city of Clearwater in 1979 with that one line of business. It was housing rehab. And we did that up until, I want to say, about 2010. And our city, they took back in-house the rehab program. We still refer and we work together because we realize it's not about the agents, this is about the end users. It's the people who need us. Like I always said to people, the federal dollars, I have paid into those too. So did you. They're our monies, and we're getting good returns on the investment into people's lives, making life better for them. So the county also took their program back in-house. Does that mean that we'll never do it again? We have monies now to do some small jobs, but they are mainly to address roof replacement, thanks to one of our banking partners who provided us with the EQ2 funds. So we are able to provide, small items, but we're not administering any governmental rehab program at this time.
And the last question is the roof. Is that, did I hear it right, that there is a day children center in there? What's in that building?
I didn't hear the last part,
The new
Linda.
roof, what's physically in that building now?
Oh, Head Start.
It is, okay.
This particular building, in which our city was one of our funding partners to acquire it, it's right next to Pamela Park's apartment, the former Greenwood Apartments. I'm very proud to say that's one of our partnership projects too. It was very blighted, 225 units of dilapidated housing, good families in there, but it was so neglected by a private owner. And we went in and we partnered with Bank of America, and we did the acquisition with other people money. Like I said, we had 7 layers of financing, but by the time we got through making life better for the people, it ended up being like a 14-point-some million dollar deal. And since then, it's been a lot of uplifting in the area. So this bar was sitting right next to the complex. And like you say, if we're going to revitalize the community, it's more than building a house here and building a house there. You got to work with the people and other, partners to bring other things into line. So that bar became a trouble spot. It wasn't always like that, because I understand over the years, professional people used to stop and have a drink. And what's wrong with that at that time if you're going to take the money out of the community and take it elsewhere and spend it? They were trying to have entrepreneurship within. So over time, it's just got to be an issue. So we decided if we got the complex next to it and we were partners, why not try to get the bar? And we didn't have the money to buy the bar, but guess who we went to? Dear old city of Clearwater, number one, because we were sure they were concerned about the social ills in the neighborhood, and this was one way to clear them up. So we got some of their monies, and we went to South Trust Bank. It's no longer around, and we got an edge loan, and we finished with the acquisition and got some of NeighborWorks money, and we did the repairs. Now, can you believe, from a bar to housing, early learning for children? And that's what's in that building, Head Start. And they serve the very low income, and they want to stay there. So we need help from the city to help us to fix the roof like you do other buildings. We need that help, and that's what it's all about. Yes. Any other questions?
I don't have a question. I'd like to make a little bit of a statement. If my numbers are right, from what you've just told us, 256 houses.
Yes, we have built.
41 years is like a house every other month.
No. We didn't start until 91.
So that's even a more accelerated pace.
Yes.
Regardless, that tells me this is probably one of the most successful programs that I've ever heard of in Clearwater between you guys and the city. It seems like this is an absolutely terrific program, and everybody should be congratulated for it.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And the state of Florida recognized that too, because I served on the Affordable Housing Study Commission for 4 years, and some of our houses was in their plan, in their menu. And like I said, we were here in the beginning with the city as a nonprofit. When it was not popular for other organizations to come into North Greenwood, you didn't even want to ride through it sometime because we had a lot of social ills. But because we partnered together with the public and the private sector, it's a place now where everybody wants to come, and that's what we wanted to do. We built the infrastructure. Now other partners are coming in, but we are very watchful that they don't set the neighborhood back, because we've seen where it came from. So, y'all know me, I love to talk, right talk. Y'all better shut me up. Okay. Any other questions
from the board?
Yes.
I just want to step back from that program to your down payment assistance application.
Okay.
Just clarification that the funds you're requesting for that are for staffing and administration. It is not actually for the down payments.
Right, it's for professional services. It's like $1,500 for every time we provide a down payment assistance.
And there was no way we could come up with the exact dollar amount because the loans vary.
Yeah. And the city, thank you all, you provide the down payment money for the borrower. And we're very happy. And matter of fact, we got houses rolling now. We got some more getting ready to come out of the ground. Yes, so it's working.
Do you know by chance how many kids are currently enrolled in Head Start?
Mike, is it 70?
We can get that number for you.
Yeah, it's between 70 and 90.
Okay, well.
Yeah. But you know what? Mike, you want to call him back? Because I didn't bring my notes up.
That's
It's
okay.
in the package.
It was just a
I don't like for
curiosity
anybody to say she told us to tell. No, I can correct it.
Just an idea is good.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board at this time? Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, just a shameless plug, our down payment assistance program, we're increasing the subsidy.
Correct.
An existing home from $20,000 to a maximum of $45,000. We're also improving things on the back end where we would have people pay back that full amount, 20 years, amortized over 20 years at 0% interest. Now, to not put people upside down, we're going to require them to pay 50% of the loan amount back over 20 years. If they meet that 20 years, the balance is forgiven, okay? So I think it's going to increase a lot of volume in our program. Good time to, like I said, put out the shameless plug, because if people in the room know people that can benefit from that.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
I have one follow-up question, if you don't mind.
Yes.
With that, with saying that with the down payment program, what is your processing time? Because on the real estate end, we have a little bit of an issue with the processing of the down payment assistance loans taking so long that we can't get the contracts accepted. So what's the average processing time for a down payment assistance?
Okay, I'm glad that you asked that, because it varies, because you got to remember the people that we serve are the most income challenged. We have a lot of people that start out on the journey, and you could go through to almost the end, and maybe they lose their job. So where you think you got that particular one, now you're working with someone else. So it varies. If we have what we do have, and I can't go back to my office without recognizing my board chair. Stand up, Joyce. This is our board chair. She's a volunteer, and she's a certified HUD credit counselor. We offer free counseling to our clients. So we take them through the process with the classes, and then each one has to have at least 1 hour credit counseling. The answer is some people move faster than others. If it was all smooth, the credit was worked out, you know what I mean, and we didn't have anything that came by surprise to us once we start. We've had people to go out and buy a car in the middle of the process when we almost to the end. So now you got to get them back, so it varies.
Right. So you work with a client and you're processing before they get under contract.
Oh, absolutely. We get the buyer ready. Yes. Now, what some people do, and you can't stop it, some people get so anxious. I bought my first house when I was 19. My husband was 23, mainly because we was in the military and we could get it a certain way. We didn't have money. But anyway, some people go out and get involved with a realtor before they come to us. And Linda, you know that, being a banker. They already on their journey. So by the time they get to us, they realize they got to have that class, that home buyers class and that credit counseling. The process get hiccups in it because, number one, they are not really ready. They are interested, but they are not a ready buyer. So we get them from all angles. We're just like octopus. They come all different ways. Nobody's on the same path. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank all of you all for the continued support. Thank you for the encouraging comments. And we will continue to uphold our name and do good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Suncoast Housing Connections is next. Very recently known as Tampa Bay Community Development Corporation. You will have 5 minutes to present.
Okay, my name's Ellen Stouffer. I'm the Vice President of Operations, and you stole my thunder.
I'm sorry.
As we submitted as Tampa Bay CDC, and now we are Suncoast Housing Connections. It is a DBA, so from a legal standpoint, all that didn't change. Our request is really for comprehensive home owner preparation services. And that's everything from the 8-hour HBE class, home buyer education class, that is required by all down payment programs. It's the one-on-one counseling. It's the down payment processing. We have come to believe that the combination of group education, where individuals learn the process, is really not enough. They need to be looking at their specific situation. That can only be done in the one-on-one counseling session. And as Ms. Gully said, because we do very similar stuff, they come to us in various stages of preparation. And so during that first initial assessment, we determine, are they mortgage ready, or do we have a little work to do? And if we have a little work to do, we stay with them through the entire process. We have follow-up counseling sessions. Everything right now, since March 13th, has been virtual, both our counseling and our HBE. But we stay with them until such time as they find a house, close on the house, and then we visit them with the welcome gift, or we determine, or they determine, they're not ready. And that's okay too. Not everybody is ready for homeownership, and that's part of our job, to help them to see that. So we have been in business since 1982. We have provided services to over 60,000 individuals. We have built over 600 homes in that period of time. Now, I'm not going to say those are all in Clearwater. We also have services in Pasco County. But our commitment is to provide housing, education, opportunities, as well as revitalizing neighborhoods. We are a HUD-approved housing counseling agency, and I'm very proud to say that all of our housing counselors passed the mandatory HUD counseling certification program, which did not happen easily, but it happened just before, our last one got just before we shut down. So we are pleased to be able to offer that quality of services to the people who come to us in search of what we all refer to as the American dream of homeownership. Questions?
Any questions from the board?
Do you have an idea of how many clients you have open cases right now?
I do know that because I just had to do a report. Right now we have 106 currently going through counseling. Our HBE clients, and not everybody who goes through HBE, homebuyer education, opts to come to the one-on-one counseling session. Some don't feel they need to, some are further along in the process. So we don't mandate it, we strongly encourage it. But we average about, in the Pinellas class, somewhere between 50 and 70 each month. We also do a Spanish class in Pinellas County every month, assuming that we have enough participants to make the 8-hour commitment of the staff. So we look to have at least 7 people in the Spanish homebuyer class. So that's, basically where we're at right now. And that is, when I say the 100+ number, actively involved. We have a lot that we follow along. They sort of take a step back because they realize, we follow along with them too. Every 60 days, how are you doing? You want to come back in? Are you ready? We find some of them close. They say, no, we're not doing that. Or they're like, oh, I'm so glad you called. I forgot all about that. Can I come in and can we reassess?
The education is key to homeownership right now because so many people think they're mortgage ready, but they're not mortgage ready. And there's so many that the affordability is such a huge issue that they need a counselor to help them know what to do with their student loans and how to qualify for more of a mortgage. And there's so much to it now that they need that one-on-one counseling. It's crucial.
It really is, to me, the critical piece, because you can have, the stuff we teach in the class is really important. We have realtors come in, we have lenders come in, we have inspectors come in, we have insurance people, all the people involved in the process. But we're talking very general. But when you're looking at yourself, who's sitting there with your budget to say, okay, what about this situation? Or here's how much of a house you can afford. Now, you're going to be told that you can afford a lot more, but do you want to put yourself in that situation? And a study done in, I want to say 2016 at Vanderbilt University, indicated that those individuals who go through homebuyer education and counseling are 42% less likely to end up foreclosing on a home because they have that foundational knowledge. And that's what we want to do. We want to be that provider of foundational knowledge for successful homeownership.
Any other questions from the board? So your services are Pinellas and Pasco, is that what you were saying?
I mean, we have people coming to our class because they're Zoom now.
Okay.
We had Polk County, we have Hernandez.
Okay.
We don't shut the classes down to anybody who wants to come, but various, like Pasco, you have to go to a Pasco class for their down payment program.
Okay.
So, and we're aware of those requirements as well. So if someone comes, we say, wait,
Right.
you can come to Pinellas, but you're going to have to go for an extra hour in Pasco
Right.
to meet that requirement.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next presenter is Bright Communities Trust. You will also have 5 minutes to present.
Hello. Can you hear me better? I'm Dania. My last name is Perez. I am with Bright Community Trust. We are also a HUD-approved housing counseling agency, nonprofit. And I do have the HUD Certified Housing Counseling Certificate, so everyone who receives counseling or education also is by someone who's certified. Sorry, I'm nervous. Right. I know that the market right now isn't the greatest for buyers. You know, low inventory, high prices, rent is high. It's kind of a mess right now, but that's okay because we always push through everything. And I think right now it's the perfect time to start educating people and doing the one-on-one and just getting people to become mortgage ready. So when the market shifts, then all those people that are not happy where they're at renting and want to have the American dream of home ownership, go ahead and move towards that. And then we'll all be ready to process the files for down payment assistance. I can go over a little bit of the process. My 8-hour homeownership class is through Zoom right now, which I try to make it as live as possible. I do like to interact with everyone and have them the ability to ask questions and things like that. So my classes are a little smaller, and that's a personal preference for me because I feel like they get more out of it. We cover the aspects of, are you ready to buy a house, managing your money, understanding your credit, obtaining a mortgage, shopping for your home, and protecting your investment. I also give people information about down payment assistance and the different avenues versus if you don't use down payment assistance, you know, because that's all. Now you got to save a little bit more. You got to really work on that budget. And so that's what we do. I also applied for the one-on-one counseling as well. I do that. That's more because like she said, the class is vague. And the one-on-one is specifically for everyone's personal, where they're at right now and where they need to do to become mortgage ready to move forward. And like they were all saying, yes, is homeownership the right path for you, or should you be renting? That's what the one-on-one really helps people determine. And if I'm not ready, what do I have to do to become ready? So we create an action plan. And it's not something that I just sit there and do for them. They have to be engaged, just like the class. They have to be engaged. If you're not engaged, I had to do it today or Saturday. You know, someone wasn't engaged. I was calling on her. She wasn't answering. She wasn't engaged. So I kind of had to drop her out of class. Same thing with the one-on-one. You got to move forward. You got to do the work. If you can't do the work, it's not going to happen. There's no like magic powder that sprinkles on something and you just you have your goals completed. You got to work for it. And during that, I cover like all the aspects of what lenders look for. Employment. How much do you have saved? Do you have enough saved? Why do you have to have this much saved? We do a budget together. I sit down, I ask for 2 to 3 months, and I pre-do it. We go over everything that's on the budget. They don't like me when I do that. So I like to do it because in our application, it says, like, what do you think you're spending on food? And then when we go back and we look at the grocery stores and Walmart and Target, they're like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that I spent so much on groceries and gas. So that's always fun to get when the light bulb clicks in and it's like, we look at the total gross and I look at their gross and see, okay, where are you with down payment assistance? And that goes back to the savings. If that's not an option for you, then this is what you need to work harder on the savings and things like that because you're going to have to save a lot more money. Credit report, look at the credit report, see what we can do to help them increase their scores if that's what they need and why, and explain why it is where it's at and what you need to do to move forward to make it where you can go to a lender and that's not going to be an issue. How much they can afford, I also go over that with them as well as reflecting back to the budget. So it's like, this is what the lender's going to tell you might be able to afford. But based on your budget, this is, you need to figure out where you're comfortable when it comes to paying a full principal, interest, taxes, insurance payment, including HOA if that's what you're looking for. Same thing, rental history, everything. Then we create an action plan. And then I say, okay, this is your action plan. You're going to work on your budget. So I want you to get back with me in a month to let me know where you cut back, what you're planning on doing, so we can go from there. Is my time up? Oh my goodness. Okay. So then we have the down payment assistance process. I wrote down the question you gave. I also process now, I have experience, not the full down payment part, but income qualification for people in the, we have community land trust. And so I'm kind of used to that process. So yes, usually whenever people are asking me, okay, I'm getting down payment assistance, I say put on the application 4 to 5 days to close. So when you have 45 days to close, the goal is to close within that 45 days. So if I was processing for down payment assistance, when I do, basically that's going to be the goal, is to have everything done and ready, work with the lenders, work with the title company, and have everything ready and set to close on that date. Because there's nothing worse than having to extend the contract, going back to the sellers, and now with the market being the way it is, that's not something we really want to do because, I mean, you have houses on the market for like a day and they're gone. You know, we don't want to give sellers any reasons not to give that person that house. And just the regular process of like, you know, like just determining the number of people in the household, the total gross income, the basics, what we're supposed to be doing. And I think that is it.
Awesome. Any questions from the board?
I had a question. So are you administering the down payment assistance for the city of Clearwater? Not just the land?
Well, right now we got the contract to do so, but we haven't received anybody because of the way the market is right now.
Right.
So
How many home buyer education classes are you currently teaching?
I do one homeownership education class. Usually it's the second Saturday of the month, and I've been doing it for years.
So it's only one class?
One class. Yep, the 8-hour HUD certified class. And we get different people. We get, like everyone else was saying, you get people from everywhere who are just the lenders requiring it, and we don't turn anybody down.
You guys are a HUD-approved counseling agency?
Yes.
Now, you also build houses, correct?
We do. We have community land trusts.
Right. And you might want to explain what that is, because I don't
Okay.
know what it is.
Basically, what it is so Bright tried to figure out a way to put out affordable homes out there. As everyone knows, the cost of building is pretty high. So we partner up with the local governments, and we have worked with the city of Clearwater to work as a CHODO. So basically, they own the improvements, which is the house, and they lease the land. And then we keep the value of the land out from the purchase price. And then when the city helps to subsidize, it helps lower the purchase price for the people. And it's usually for city of Clearwater, it's 80% median family income limits, so they can buy it.
So it makes the house more affordable than
It makes the, yes, and it's a move-in ready house, so it's not like they're saving all this money to get in the house, to turn around, to fix it. So it's move-in ready.
And so the funding that you're requesting is for the homeowner education though, right? For that
It's
portion?
for the homeownership education, the one-on-one counseling, and the down payment assistance processing. Yes.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
All right, our last group of presenters is organizations that provide micro-enterprise technical assistance. Our first one is the Hispanic Business Initiative Fund of Florida, also known as Prospera, and you will have 3 minutes to present.
Morning. My name is Fabian Yepes. I am the Vice President for the West Coast of Florida of Prospera. We are a nonprofit organization, economic development organization that is based in Orlando. We are, basically what we do is we focus on assisting Hispanic entrepreneurs and small businesses to grow and prosper, obviously to continue hiring people, and obviously contributing to to economic development that way. I have a couple of numbers here that my memory isn't too good anymore, so I have to have to check here. But basically, what's been happening, we've noticed that a lot of the Hispanic businesses have been very affected, especially through these hard times. Just looking at numbers, survival expectations for Hispanic businesses has been low. About 18% say that they're not going to make it. However, those that say that probably will and are very positive about them making it is 62%. So we know that the Hispanic population as well here in the city of Clearwater has been growing steadily, and of the 115,000 people that are in the city, those the numbers between 17.5 and 17.8% are Hispanic. So there's a large population that needs our services there, and like I said, we saw a lot of that need during the pandemic. Many were not prepared to receive, were not, especially on the economic side, on the financial side, they weren't really prepared to get access to either local loans or PPP loans or the IDL, because just their numbers weren't there, their books weren't ready. Mostly the same problems that a lot of small businesses have, but I think it was increased here because, one, there are always those barriers like language and just the way how business is done here. Most of our clients are recently arrived, so sometimes there is a hard time for them to understand how business is done here. So that's where we come in. We teach them through education. We offer technical assistance grants, and we offer one-on-one consultation so they're able to become successful and be able to create more jobs. Still have 25 seconds, so let me fill in with some numbers there. Hispanic-owned businesses, and this is more on a national level, just to give you an idea of the entrepreneurial spirit that we have. It's grown 34% over the last 10 years, versus where non-Hispanic businesses growth is only 1%. And here in the U.S., there's been a 40% increase of Hispanic-owned businesses since 2012. So it shows a lot of that. So people that come here for the American dream are really going after it. Okay?
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
I just have one quick question. Just looking at your application, you're projecting to assist 26 people, is that correct?
That's correct. As of now, for this past year, we're already at 18. So we're clearly going to surpass that. And I think that because of the people that are still having problems for the pandemic, it's going to be a lot. I think we're going to clearly surpass that number.
Thank you.
So is it general business advice, or is it help with particularly the PPP loans and that kind of stuff, or is it everything that you guys offer?
It's everything. It's everything. We'll start. I mean, it's something we can help people who are still in the idea of opening a business.
Okay.
And guide them how to do it, how to register, and how to do it the right way, how to set up their books. And we're constantly doing workshops and seminars where they can continue to learn. And like I said, we offer technical assistance grants, which are not money. We do not offer money, but through providers that we have, to previously set providers that we have, we're able to offer them help in accounting, in business plans, marketing plans, branding kits, legal assistance, which is really what they need to be successful.
Excellent. And you said you were based in Orlando. Are you doing everything virtually right now, or?
No. The whole organization is based in Orlando.
Okay.
However, even though it started in Tampa, we're here in the office in Tampa.
Okay.
And actually, this year, right before the pandemic, we were lucky enough to hire somebody who's right here with me, and she's been exclusively dedicated to everything that has to do with Pinellas, which we were having a lot more of a problem there because lack of people. We're a small organization.
Yeah.
But now she's dedicated exclusively over to this side, and it's helped us a lot.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, our final presenter of the day is the Tampa Bay Black Business Investment Corporation, and you will have 3 minutes to present.
Good morning. And my name is Albert Lee. I'm the president of the Tampa Bay Black Business Investment Corporation. Last name is Lee, L-E-E. And I want to thank you all, number one, for the opportunity to present. And I couldn't start this without thanking Chuck and Denise for their help. I think this is going into our 4th year and our program and our involvement over here in Clearwater. And with me this morning is Marilyn Turbin. Many of you all probably know Marilyn. She's our person that's on the ground for us here in Clearwater. Has been doing a great job since we started our program over here directly. Tampa Bay Black Business Investment Corporation is going into its 34th year. We started in 1987, so we're going into our 34th year of being a capital provider as well as a technical assistance provider. You know, that is what we've been devoted to all of those years, and that's what we continue to do. I don't think any of us would disagree that at this point in time, over the last year or so, that has been a critical part for small businesses, and we're glad that we're able to serve in that capacity. So one of the primary things that we offer over here is we do our technical assistance program, and as I said, we are a capital provider. We have our small business CAP program that we provide over here as well, which is our technical assistance and our capital access program. Our primary program that we offer over here, Maryland's been doing a great job where we give more intensive training and more intensive help, is our CATCH program, okay? Our CATCH program is a 15-week program that's designed to give the business owner the tools that they need to run their business effectively. One of the things that I'm proud of is, you know, you hear a lot of discussion about building resiliency around businesses because of what happened during COVID. Well, I'm proud to say that if they had come through our 15-week CATCH program, we don't have to mention resiliency because the things that we teach them are the things that you have to have in your business to operate, to be resilient, period. So we don't even have to talk about resiliency because it's built in. And the program has done we've done a great job with the program. It's one of our primary programs that we operate over here in Maryland is the person that kind of runs that for us. One of the things that we were able to put together over the last about 6 months is we have different banks that partner with us. We loan out of our own capital as well. We have capital facilities that we are able to use to loan and fund businesses directly, but we also work through our banking partners. And we have a great partnership that's going to allow us to really expand the size loans that we do with Raymond James Bank. They came to us to talk to us about how they could expand their ability to get money out to small businesses, because that's not what they do. Yes, they're a bank, but they function on large companies. They're not really good at handling small business, and so they wanted to engage us to help them. And so, I mean, that's going to increase our capacity and our ability to expand those loans. So we're really excited about that, to be able to bring that over here. And we also have some additional dollars that we have through EQ2 that we can provide to small businesses as well, that's focused primarily over in this area. So I'll take any questions if you have any questions.
Any questions from the board?
I do have a question. The loans that you provide, what is the interest rate of those loans?
Typically, our interest rate caps out at about 9%. So we try not to be one of those predatory lenders. We do have a cost of our capital that is typically very low, so it allows us to be able to still make a spread and make some income on our interest, but not be predatory. So typically our loans cap out at no more than about 9%. And to be honest with you, most of them are in that 7.5 range. 9% right now would probably be at the top end of our loans.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions?
Can you give us an idea of the number of businesses that are that you've helped here in this area?
I think last total it was somewhere in the neighborhood around 200.
Okay.
Yeah, and in different engagements, through our seminars that we offer, through our direct one-on-one and things like that. One of the things that we're focusing on this year is we'd like to be able to get more capital in the hands of businesses. We're very fortunate because of what we do on a daily basis to be able to jump in and help the city of Clearwater last year with the grant programs and so on and so forth, because, I mean, that's what we do, we're a capital provider. So because we're on the ground here, because we have a presence here every day, it was easy for us to pivot and be able to start providing those services.
That's great. Any other questions from the board? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to turn it over to the board members to see if anybody has final comments about presentation or following the presentation. Well, I'll just make a comment. this is the first time that I've been able to see a presentation like this since joining this board, and I think it's extremely important to see how A, the city of Clearwater is able to partner with so many different organizations, and B, how these organizations are able to work together at different stages or places in impacting the life of the people that need affordable housing and that are unfortunately homeless or developing businesses, et cetera. I think there's a lot more citizens to be helped, but I think we're starting in a good place, and so it was just really, really impactful to see these presentations. So I believe that concludes our scheduled business for the day. Thank you, everyone that came to present. I'm sorry we were running a little behind towards the end, but we appreciate you. We're going to go to item 5, which is old business. Does the board have any old or new business to discuss? No? Okay. I did want to mention that I attended a webinar that was put together by the Pinellas County Continuum of Care, and there was some really important information. I knew today was going to be a very full meeting, so I didn't bring it up, but I think I'll probably bring it up at the next meeting if that's okay, or send some notes over through Chuck at some point. Mr. Lane, Director's Report. Anything to report?
Thank you. I'll be brief. My coffee's pretty much run through me. Some of you probably in that same boat, so we've been here a while. I just want to thank everybody for presenting today. It was terrific. One observation that I had, Mr. Chenault is on the Technical Review Committee, so he's probably got in about 20 hours digging into these applications. We used to take in these applications by paper, so we'd have a stack literally like this, and we never disseminated those applications to the board. You've all come and you've shown up and you've had a fresh look at these folks without really any background information. So we don't have to decide this today, but next year when we do this, if the board pleases, I can make those applications available to you. We'll have, next year when we start the AEP process, we'll talk about it. I'll raise the question then, and if that's something you're interested in, I'll do it. Just an observation on my part. It may be helpful. It may be too much information for you. So we'll decide next January or February before we get this thing started on that. But other than that, great day. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for great dialogue, great questions. Was terrific. So,
Chuck, I have a quick question for you. So is this board required to give any type of comment or advice or anything to the Technical Review Committee, or was just more for like an open forum and for the public to hear?
It was for an open forum. It was a public forum for them to present. And if you have some words of advice for the Technical Review Committee, by all means, feel free at this point, right now, to give that advice or that direction. Maybe not direction, but your thoughts on.
Chuck, who is on the Technical Review Committee?
Technical Review Committee is Kevin Chenault, Rosemary Call.
She was there.
Balil, I don't remember his last name, from the Clearwater Urban Leadership Coalition. We've been working with that group very closely. Marilyn Turman, you saw her, she's part of that coalition. There's that, our Neighborhood Services Coordinator, Jordan, and I think and we have a member of the HLA. We always have a representative from the Homeless Leadership Alliance, because so many of the programs that you heard today are homeless related or preventing homeless. It's very important to us to have a member of that agency on the review committee.
And so the review committee is the body that's going to score the different applications and basically make the decision on what's.
Yeah, keep in mind now, really where it's most important is with the public services, okay?
Right.
Because we're limited with how much we can spend on public service money, so it's competitive. Okay, we can spend 15% of our allocation, which is about $130,000. So that's really where the scoring really makes a difference. Now with the public facilities, it's really, what's eligible, and what's available. If it's good, unless we find a compelling reason not to fund a project outside of eligibility, we generally try to fund those projects.
And just point of clarification, last year we did find a reason not to fund a project because it didn't, at least in the Technical Reviews Committee's decision, it did not meet the guidelines.
Okay.
I don't even remember which project it was, but there was some issues with one of the applications.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's less competitive on the facility side. It's not necessarily competitive on the micro enterprise side either, because they're not subject to that cap.
Okay.
So the competitive aspect is with the public services. That includes down payment assistance processing, not the subsidy, but the
Right.
processing fee. And it includes home buyer education and all the other public services you heard today. So they're kind of vying for that, for that limited money. And I think we have one or two less applicants, a little bit more money. So, we'll be able to fund more on a per organization basis, which is good.
I was going to ask you if you were personally happy with the number of applications that came through, if you think that's a healthy number to have and to see.
Yeah, I was. It's always nice to see new organizations come in. HUD encourages that. But I think I'm real pleased with our public service program. I think we have a very, and I say it every time, and I'll continue to do it as long as it's true. We have a very diverse array of public services that we're able to provide to our citizens through our CDBG program. They're very encouraging. I mean, look at the, between, you got HEP, you got Kimberly Home, a pregnancy service center, just the range of things. Chore services, helping the elderly folks that can't help with their homes. West Care, they're they help, people facing homelessness that have substance abuse issues. And like they said, that's not something that's a very common service that's provided in the year. So there's, and then there's St. Vincent de Paul and PERC is relatively new to our program. So you look at all that, you look at what these folks provide, and it's really, and I like the fact that we're getting more each year. We seem to be getting into helping people, not just helping people with the issues of homelessness, but helping people help themselves with these job programs, like what PERC's bringing to the table, and HEP is getting into that realm. So that, to me, is encouraging. I think we're going in the right direction.
So the technical committee will review everything, and then our next meeting we'll vote on that. We'll approve what the technical committee suggests, the recommendations.
Yeah, what we'll do is staff will meet with the technical review committee. We'll take that information, that scoring criteria, we take their scoring criteria, and on the competitive side of things, in the public services, we put it into predetermined matrix. So the top tier will get the most amount of money. Then there's a second tier, then there's a lower tier. So that's really the most important part of the technical review committee's process. And then otherwise, we will, as staff, we will take that information and we'll prepare that for you all to approve at the next meeting.
That was the purpose of my asking people to prioritize their requests, so that really for your benefit, Kevin, at least you'd say, well, okay, there's only this much, but this is really what they want,
And, I really thought that, we actually got a little bit more money this year from CDBG, which is great. And we got 9 public facilities applications, and that's where the dollar bills really add up. One of them was from our club. They're actually two applications, but effectively 1. So really 8. If we had 11 or 12, we would have been in a situation where your question is really important, because now we're not going to be able to fund these things entirely.
Right.
So now we got to figure out really a way, to reduce and to get to the number. Now, I don't think we're going to have to do that. I think the funding is there. We also have, I heard some things today where we could maybe take some of these projects and fund them with COVID money, which would take it out of the CDBG realm and give us a little bit more flexibility with what we can fund. So I think we're in a good place. I think we got the right amount of funding to fund these agencies that we heard today. So,
excellent.
And you'll see that more specifically at our next meeting.
Excellent.
So Chuck, to your point, and sorry if you already said that, but so basically what we're going to be voting on is the recommendation of the technical review, right? So because we don't know the applications, so after you guys review the applications, you'll just present to us, this is what we decided, and we just vote on it, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The technical review committee, it's about scoring the applications, and then it's us as staff doing the math and putting together a budget for you all to look at. And we can talk about that as deeply as you'd like when we meet. Obviously, I want the board, and I think you're all aware that I sincerely want the board to be as informed as possible, and I encourage the feedback. And I think over the last 4 years or 5 years that I've been in this role, I've seen this board really evolve and become more communicative and give us really great dialogue and direction. So I really appreciate that. I've never wanted this board to be a rubber stamp. I think that's very important for us. So I really appreciate what you guys are bringing. It's terrific. I think we've had some great meetings over the last few years, and to me, it's getting better and better, so thank you for that.
You mentioned possibly making the applications available in the future. I think that would help, just because we have such little time with each applicant, that sometimes there's background or general questions that I personally didn't ask because I was like, I can just go and Google it later and I'm not going to waste their time, but that would be great to have before they come up. So if we have a question that comes up that has to do with just in general their, operations, then we would probably have the.
Yeah, as the discussions were going on today, I'm thinking to myself, wow, I should have done this,
Chuck, I can say for one, that stack, I used to read it all. So I felt more informed. I felt better about the people, and I looked at the resumes and what they do and who's in that organization. I really liked having that, and I felt more informed when I got here.
Now what we can do is we can reduce it to a PDF.
Right.
Yeah,
That would be perfect.
exactly.
That way,
That would be
or we
great.
could even just give you access to it. So we'll figure out the best way to do
Okay.
it.
I was looking at Kevin, and I'm like, well, he's an overachiever, like, what?
I know, I was like, what is he looking at that
Did I miss an email?
We can only have one member of this board on the TRC.
Yeah.
It's a sunshine issue.
Yeah.
I actually thought I missed it. Like,
Yeah.
exactly.
Me too,
when I
that's
was
what I'm
like,
saying.
where
I'm
was
like,
it?
I read every email. What happened
Is there a
here?
link?
I know with
That's exactly why I'm
COVID,
raising this right now.
Yeah.
I know with COVID, it's probably tough, but has your technical review or staff ever toured the different facilities? Because I know when I was with Largo and we did our subrecipient time, we actually went and toured every facility that made an application. It was quite a process to do, but it really, you have a paper application and you see it, and we get a little bit of time here. But to really see the work that they're doing in person is, and I know with COVID, that's probably not happening as much, but I wondered if in past the technical review committee or staff was able to go tour the different subrecipient applications.
That would be wonderful. The issue is it's timing.
Correct.
We're asking this TRC to take their own time, and 20 hours, Kevin, 15?
At least.
I mean, and you could probably, it's a matter of how you take it, but to me, that's a lot to ask to begin with. And then, certainly if a TRC member, and perhaps I should make that known, if a TRC member wanted to have those types of arrangements for tours, I could certainly arrange it, But again, the commitment they're already giving, I hate to ask or make them feel like I'm requiring more than that.
Yeah, right.
As part of that committee, if we were in a position where the public services were so many that we either had to make a decision of no funding or cutting funding dramatically from their requests, that may be necessary. In years past, yes, some of them don't get the funding they requested, but I felt it was still at a legitimate level where it wasn't going to dramatically impact their program. But as you move forward, like we got some new applications this year, we lost a few. So I think we're still, like Chuck said, we're pretty much in the same boat we were before. What I've seen other communities do is they would give each reviewer, they would be maybe a specialist for that. Like I may take West Care, and that would be my specialty area. I would have toured that, and when we're reviewing the grants, I could talk from that side so that we wouldn't have to go visit every agency.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask a question, Chuck. For the application process, do they submit pictures or videos? Because a visual would be very helpful. I mean, maybe it's not necessarily the time spent visiting those facilities, but for example, when they were talking about the art club childcare, and talking about their parks, they needed to, the playground. So if you have a visual, a picture of how it looks right now, you'll be able to say, okay, well, this is really needed immediately,
Yeah.
So I wonder if they provide that additional information.
They can. The application is really intended for them to submit what's required and what we can defend to HUD, and that's really, the process. But that's a great point. That's something that we could suggest to them, or maybe not make it a mandatory component of an application, but certainly something that they could be able to do to beef up their application. I mean, like you said, a visual sometimes really gets you kind of to the next level.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
historically some of the public facilities have. I remember a couple years ago, Directions for Living had included photos in their supporting documents, but they don't all.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, I think that was our board members to be heard, right? Is that what we just did? Any additional comments from everyone? All right, our next NAHAB meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, May 11th at 9 a.m. here in Council Chambers, and we're adjourned.